Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 5th of February 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Tuesday's morning session where we're going to have a look at the markets, a few charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay guys, so now also before we jump into the charts, I quickly just wanted to mention, if you would like me to cover certain instruments, certain particular instruments, please feel free to leave a comment after the video is uploaded in YouTube, then that I could pick it up later on and review it on my next video. So yep, I'll be happy to do that for you guys. But for now, let's jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on here is the FTSE. Now looking at this one here and looking at this daily chart, you can see that it continues traveling higher. It continues moving above its key area of previous resistance. Now it's acting as support, the 7,000 level. So yesterday we had a nice push higher, and this is the idea that we threw out on Friday, and basically this is on our trading view account here, and this is what we put out, basically an idea where it was still trading slightly below the actually around the 7,000 level, and now it's kind of aiming higher. Certainly the level that we're targeting here for now is the 7,150 level, maybe just slightly above that, and we do have the 200 EMA here as well. So basically very good potential area of resistance. Also you can see that it was marked here by the highs of or should I say the high of the 3rd of December, and just slightly above that we do have the 7,190 level, which is marked here by the highs of November. So excuse me, the high of the 9th of November. So in a way guys, for now of course the path kind of holds here to the upside. Certainly this suddenly reverses back down and drops below the psychological 7,000 level. Well, the bulls should not disappoint yet, because we still have this downside resistance line here running from the high of August. So this medium-term downside resistance line that got broken recently, and for us, let's say, to get comfortable with the downside, well, we would need to see a good drop not only below this downside resistance line, but also a drop below the 6,915 level, approximately there, and only then we will aim for much, well, should I say, slightly lower levels, let's put it that way, and the ones that we're seeing here in the end of January. But for now, as long as it kind of continues to trade above this downside resistance line, we will continue aiming for higher levels. And like I said, our first target that we're aiming here for is the 7,150 level. So let's see if it works out. Certainly you can see by this idea here, we do have a stop loss around here, around this 6,915 level. But the only thing is, in a scenario like this where we already have let's say a position running here higher, and if we see that it's already in profit, in a way what you could do, either lift it a little bit here, your stop loss, you can lift it either slightly higher or even actually just in front of the entry price, just in case, to protect yourself against a reversal back down and the move lower. Certainly, like I said, even if it drops lower and rebounds then from this downside resistance line, certainly understand that your position would be already closed, but at least you could try and enter it again and potentially drive this one higher. So yep guys, certainly for now, long story short, we are targeting the 7,150 level. Let's see how this plays out, and yep, keep an eye on the price action. Jumping into gold now, yesterday gold got a bit of a selling here, and managed to almost reach this level here that I was talking about, the 1308. So we kind of found support near the just slightly below the 1309 level, but still kind of in between 1308 and 1309, from which you can see that the commodity slightly reversed back up. Now the problem here is that, looking at this daily chart, we are still trading above this upside support line taken from the low of the 14th of November, and certainly the recent kind of correction, and this is how we're going to call it, a correction. The recent correction kind of ended here, just slight, not far from the 1308 level. The only thing is that you can see that today, today's daily candle, it already tried to push back above the 1315 level, but kind of failed to do that. So in a way, this is this little zone that we're going to observe carefully right now, because a nice good push above the 1315 level could lead the commodity back towards the 1326 zone, towards last week's highs, and then of course we'll take it from there, see if it wants to break it or not. But on the downside, well, we're still aiming for this 1308 zone. If this suddenly drops, if gold suddenly drops below the 1308, now this is it, of course, it increases the chances of seeing a further slide towards the psychological 1300. But just slightly below that, we do have the 1297 zone marked near the lows of the 28th of January. But if that's not enough for gold, we still have this upside support line that could kind of provide some good support, let's put it that way, and we could see maybe a rebound and a push back up again. But for now, guys, probably because it's a very tricky situation here right now, keep an eye on the 1315 on the upside here and on the 1308 on the downside. So of course, if we do get a break below here, then yep, we could then aim for the 1300s, just the 1300 level in general, or even slightly lower. And on the upside, like I said, a break above the 1315 could open the path towards back towards the highs of last week. So keep your eyes on that one. Jumping into Aussie dollar now. Aussie dollar, I was talking about this one yesterday in my traders tea time video, and I was telling you guys to keep an eye on it. We could see maybe something like this forming here. So actually, let me just jump into a 4-hour chart, so you can see that we had a nice push higher, very strong push higher on the news that came out overnight here from Australia during the Asian session, during the Asian morning. Certainly initially got a boost. Aussie dollar got a boost here on the interest or on the RBA rate statement. So, and basically we're having a nice continuation here to the upside. Certainly currently just a small correction back to the R1, but if it continues to hold here today, we could see even actually a test of the R2, which is around the 0.7273 mark, approximately there, so just slightly above that. We do have the 0.7277 mark, just only about 5 pips away, and it marks the highs that we saw here back on the 31st of January. So keep your eyes on this one. For now, certainly looking at this picture and also what I've mentioned yesterday, we could maybe see this. This is a nice rising wedge formation. So, but of course, before we get a good confirmation of that, we need to see a few more touches of the upper side and the lower side of it. So, for now, we are from the very short-term perspective, we are aiming slightly higher. Initially aiming for this R2, or maybe actually going all the way here towards the upper side here of this potential wedge formation. So keep your eyes on this one, and if we do have a nice push higher, this is where the rate could potentially get stalled, and if it fails to drive higher, we could see the bears jumping in here again and driving this one back down. And so very interesting pair, at the same time a bit of a tricky one, but nevertheless keep your eyes on a few key areas here. And if, let's say for example today, if we see a drop below the R1, which is around the 0.7250 level, approximately there, well, we could see maybe a further slide towards the pivot, which is around 0.7230, or even actually going back all the way here towards these lows that we saw here yesterday. But of course, for this downside and short-term downside scenario, we need to see a nice good drop below the 0.7250 level first. And on the upside, if this reverses higher now, like I said, we will target the 0.7277 or the AUDUSD here initially. Jumping into Euro USD. Now this one yesterday slid a little bit, dropped, but kind of got held here near this 114.30 zone, approximately there. So currently we're seeing this the current trading activities below the pivot, below today's pivot, and certainly there is a good chance that we could see maybe further declines, especially if we're going to start wiping out yesterday's lows, which were around the 114.20 zone. And of course, this way we could then target the next potential area of support around the 114, or even actually going all the way back here for a test of this upside support line taken from the lows of the 12th of November. So for now, guys, be very careful with this one. Certainly, like I said, at the moment it seems that it wants to travel further down. It is below the pivot, but again, probably for a better confirmation, wait for a drop below the 114.20 zone, and then we will aim for the 114 or even lower. On the upside here, from the very short-term perspective, what you could do is keep an eye on this little high here, of course, on the yesterday's little intraday swing high here around the 114.45. This would of course automatically place the pair above the pivot, which could be seen as a positive. But for, let's say, for a better confirmation, guys, probably wait until this gets above the 114.50 and only then probably target higher levels, at least higher levels towards the around the 114.88, something like that, or even actually going all the way here back towards the 115. So, but in order, let's say, to shift our views in more further to the upside in the near term, we would need to see a nice good pop above the 115.15 level here, marked by the highs of last week, and only then we'll aim for much higher levels here. But for now, from the very short-term perspective, on the upside here, guys, keep your eyes on the 114.50. On the downside, the 114.20 level. Let's see if it breaks one of these, and if it does, we could see maybe further move in that breaking direction. Jumping into Euro Aussie. Now this one is a very interesting one, and of course takes into account the previous two discussed pairs. Now looking at this picture here, you can see that if of course it got hit yesterday, or should I say today, this morning, it got hit, and we're now seeing a nice bouncing around here. We see the pair bouncing around near the 157.25 zone, approximately there. So this is going to be our level to watch, because a nice good drop below this could lead the pair further down towards the 156.70 zone, approximately there. But if that fails to withhold the rate from dropping lower, then yep, further declines are possible. The only thing is, looking at this pair right now, you can see that it's already quite overextended from the daily perspective, of course, or should I say from today's perspective. It's already kind of bouncing around the S2 right now. So in a way, even if we could see maybe a further up move higher, if it fails to drive above the S1, which is around the 157.90, we could see maybe more bears stepping in here and potentially driving this pair back down, where we could actually see that break of the 157.25 zone. And like I said, then we will target slightly lower levels. But basically, long story short, guys, for now, if you want to be on the safe side here, keep your eyes on the 157.25. A nice good break below this could lead towards slightly further declines here. On the upside, well, in order for us to, let's say, to aim a little bit higher here, we need to see a nice good push above the 158.85 level, which was marked here by these highs, by today's highs as well. So, but the only thing is, what you should not forget is this downside resistance line. And let me just quickly put that on the chart here, guys. So this is what I'm talking about. So basically, this downside resistance line, this is what's kind of, in a way, for now holding up, or should I say, showing the direction of the of the pair. So in a way, if we get a nice push above the 158.85 level that I was talking about, we would also get a nice, of course, push above this downside resistance line, which also could be seen as a nice good positive indication, at least for the short term, where we could then target slightly higher levels. We would aim for the area here around the 159.65, or sorry, 159.95, there we go, or even actually going a little bit low, higher here. So basically, guys, for now, keep your eyes on the 158.85 here on the upside. That's our target in order to kind of consider higher levels. But for now, judging by the picture that we're seeing here right now, there is more potential, let's say, of seeing further declines. But again, in order for us to get comfortable with further declines, we need to see a drop below the 157.25 level. So keep your eyes on that one. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on, and that's USDCHF. Now, yesterday, of course, the dollar got a slight boost here, a nice good boost higher, and for now, you can see that the pair kind of struggling to overcome this 0.9990 level, and but of course, if the third time is going to be a lucky one here, then we could see further acceleration here to the upside, of course, aiming for the psychological 1 level, or even actually going further up here, where the good potential area that we're keeping an eye on is around the 1.0045 mark, which was marked here by the lows that we saw here back on the 15th of November and also the 11th of November. So you can see that it acted as a very good area of support here previously, but now it could take the role as a good area of resistance. So, but initially, of course, we need to see that nice good pop above the 0.9990 level. So keep your eyes on that one. Certainly, we are currently above the pivot, above today's pivot, which is also a bullish sign. And like I said, but first we need to see that good break above the 0.9990 level. On the downside, well, you could in a way keep your eyes on the 0.9960. A nice good drop below this could potentially lead this pair further down here towards the 0.9920, or even actually the 0.99 level itself. So keep your eyes on that one. For now, this is looking more bullish than bearish, but again, we need to see that confirmation break here above the 0.9990 first. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful, and thank you very much for watching and listening. If you want to join me later on in my traders tea time, that's 14:15 GMT time, and as like I said, if you would like me to cover a certain instrument, then yeah, please leave a comment after the video is uploaded. Thank you very much, and bye bye.